mean, I guess without further ado, why don't we start off by asking how you are at the moment and what have you been up to recently?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Been through a bit of a frustrating time with the injury. I tore a tendon in my foot, grade 2, that kept me on the sidelines for a bit. Like you said, we had a good time with the final, went back home. So the plan for me was always to start a little bit the season a little bit later, missed the initial 2 games. And then a week before I would have started playing, got the injury. So it kept me out for a bit longer than I would have wanted. But yeah, it was really frustrated, but really good to be back at the moment, joining the team, and yeah, just good to contribute.
We will cover, things and how you deal with injuries during a season, preseason, and so on a little bit later. But I guess there's no better way to kick off the topics with that final. So let me, paint the picture for you again. I'm sure it hasn't left your mind, but you start the game. I mean, let's talk about the pre-game, your warm-ups, the pre-game chat. What is the mentality like in the group, going into such an anticipated final?
Yeah, I think it starts in the week preparation, really. The final is not just the day of the final. It starts on the Monday, really, leading into the final, preparing. So on the Monday, we normally, as a senior group, the senior players and some of the coaches get together, and we plan the week around the messaging and the way we want to play, stuff we've seen, opportunities we can exploit from the team. So in the week of Exeter, we spoke quite a bit around how we want to frame our messages, how to get the boys up after that semi-final, get the same or better performance out of them. And then finally, we just spoke about how we're actually going to win the rugby game. And we knew by kicking poles against Exeter, going for 3 points, we're never going to win the game. Because every time we get 3, they'll probably get 7 if they get down at our end. They're massively effective when they 5 meters out. I think every time last season they got there, they almost just felt like you couldn't stop them. They scored with their pick and go, their patience and their maul. So we decided whenever we get the opportunity, we're going to go corner. We had to score tries. If we're going to win the final, it's going to be by scoring more tries than them. And yeah, the rest is history, really.
That being said, you had a phenomenal start. You guys score early on. I guess Exeter in classic style bounce back with a couple of quick tries, a couple of yellows on either side. Marcus gets sent off. Your fellow Saffas start scoring. And at what point in the game do you think, did you realize that you had this game?
I think when the final whistle went, we thought we had this game, because we scored and the message, I came off and the message was really, let's have a good exit, get the ball, set it up, just kick it back and make them play out of their own half. And straight off I think we lost the ball straight from the kickoff. They gathered the ball and scored immediately. So then we were like, with not that long to go, and we were like, oh, here we go. We've let it slip. And then I think it was Lewis Liner that scored a brilliant try in the other corner. And from there, so that's what end score was 40-38. So it was close all around. So literally when the final whistle went, that was the first moment we thought, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've got written here, you had 9 minutes to go before Liner gets the ball in the corner. And I think for most of us, even neutrals, it was an incredible rugby game to witness and to be part of, even though it was at home. Again, congratulations. I'm sure it's been said to you guys many times, but from a season, I guess what the commentators were saying at the end, in January, where things were looking perhaps a bit grey and a bit grim, to go from January to lift the trophy in June. Did you guys genuinely have that belief from the start that you could possibly do this? Or when in the camp did you say, do you know what, we might actually have a shot here this season?
I think initially it was taking it one game at a time. Obviously, we were out without a coach early Jan. Our first game without a coach was against Wasp. We responded really well. We, again, as a senior group on that Mondays, the chat was, and with the group was, everyone expect us to crumble and to just fall down the ladder. But we have a quality team. We know we have the talent that's needed to win this comp. We can fight back, take it one game at a time, and the way we were going to do it is play the Quins way, and that's scoring try, play exciting rugby. We're going to stick to our DNA, and through that we'll get the results. And yeah, so we just tried to score 4 tries or outscore teams really. There was a lot said about our defense really leading up to the final, but that was generally our belief. If it's team score 5 tries, we'll score 7, we'll score 8 tries. That was, and I think playing that kind of rugby, you just grow in confidence all the time. So leading up to the game, we got Danny Kerr, or to the playoffs, it was a few games out. He got up in front of the group and just told the boys, because most of the boys haven't won anything in their careers. So what's that feeling of, because they won it back in 2012. There was still a few boys that actually played in a 2012 final. He got up and he spoke and said what it meant in 2012, how like the fun part of it, the celebrations and all that. So that really inspired the group from there on. And then I think the belief really kicked in and we thought, hey, we can actually do this.
I have no other words but to say congratulations, genuinely. It was a fantastic final, a fantastic example of how to play, a final, and it will, most definitely go down in history as one of the greats in the Premiership and in any of the competitions, genuinely. I mean, I want to move on to a bit of off the pitch now. I mean, you are a bit of an entrepreneur on the side. You've developed you've developed this new app. I want to talk a bit about Get Rugby. So naturally, could you please tell us a bit about Get Rugby? What is the app about? What is the concept? How did it come about, etc.?
So I had started, myself and Joe Peterson was playing in Japan 2017, and just not having a lot to do in winter months in Japan in a small town of Komaishi. We started talking about firstly the coaching in Japan, and then also back home, being at school really most of the time. I didn't go to a massive rugby school or anything. So the guy that's coaching you it's a teacher. He coaches you to the best of his ability and his knowledge. It's obviously a bit different today with schools almost being like academies, but there's still. So we just said, with all this intellectual property that players have these days, all the if like, there's no one better to learn from like the players themselves a lot of the time, especially when it comes to the forward stuff like the dark arts. So that's how it started, with conversations like that. Then we went back, and for a few years we planned this thing together, myself, Joe Peterson and Michael Claessens. Eventually we got a financial backing to launch the thing, and then it was straight after the World Cup, also in the COVID lockdown and the break. So we approached, after the World Cup, we tried to get all the best players in South Africa involved with Get Rugby. And we try to put in, honestly, the best 15 we can get. And then from there, the concept behind it is we get each player to coach their position. So if I can use Beast, for example, we'll get Beast to coach you through literally how to scrum, how to set your feet, how to bind, yes, the 101s of scrum, how to scrum, how he scrums, and also not just how he scrums, but how he trains to get strong in that position on the field, and different positions, the drills he does on the field to get strong in scrum, but also in the gym. And then we went further. So we did that for every position. And then what do we as players need to function day to day? We have a team doctor, we have physios, we have dietitians. So that was the next step for us really with Get Rugby. So we got the Sharks doctor and the Sharks physio involved that talks through minor injuries and also stuff like concussion protocols, how to get back. In the days when I played at school, you get a concussion, you feel all right, you play the next week again. It was no real. And I spoke to a boy the other day that had to retire. I think he's 21 now, with the lasting effects of concussion at school, just because no one's fault. No one really knew better, So we want to create awareness with that, and also with the physios, just basic strapping. Like back at school, you don't always have physios, or your parents is the one doing the strapping. So just tutorials, how to do a basic ankle strap, basic knee, shoulder, those kind of stuff. We have a dietitian that's also at the Sharks involved with them. So it's literally the best physios, doctors that worked with the professionals day to day that you get access to through Get Rugby. Then other than outside of the players and these professionals, we also have coaches that goes through the basic skill, coaching these skills to make sure the basics is is correct and in place, because I think that's where it all starts. So in short, it's a rugby coaching app that covers a big part of rugby, and you learn from the best.
Apart from being a platform that transcribes a lot of knowledge, and an understanding of the game, I suppose, it's about actually getting rugby itself. And on top of that, raising awareness, because, in a world where player welfare and player safety is so paramount right now in the game, in any sport, it's a good time to be doing something like this. And I wherever we can support, I'll obviously drop all the links and everything necessary in all the descriptions and everything. But so to recap, it's aimed for those, I guess, starting out in rugby, is already interested in the game, as well as someone who wants to get in the game. And it's a great way to educate, because nowadays, with absolutely everybody who has a phone, an iPad, everything, it's genuinely the way forward. I when I heard of the app itself and got it, or sort of made inquiries, I didn't actually know at the time that it was you. And then when we made that connection, I said, whatever I can, I'll jump on board to help. So again,
thank you, appreciate it. And just
yeah.
back to your point for who it is, I think really our target market is from like grade 6, from 12 years old, really.
Okay.
And then I think realistically it's around 21, that type of age. But to be honest, through the whole process, the amount I've learned as a player at the age of 29 from these guys, I think, when we shot Dwayne Vermeulen, and I don't get the chance to sit with him day to day and speak to him about rugby. So watching back his clips and the tips he gave us on basic stuff, the way he carries the ball, everyone thinks you run as hard as possible, but there's a bit more to it. There's a reason why he's one of the most dominant carriers in the game. And just listening to him, I learned quite a bit from that, just listening to him. So there's definitely something for everyone. Doesn't matter what level of the game you're at. If you want to improve, there's something for you on Get Rugby. And then also for the youngest part I left out, which is also a big part, is the S&C coach. We have Steph the Toy that was with the province, Western Province, and now it's Stad Francais that put all the gym programs and stuff together. So from a young age, literally, he's did a really great job and breaking up into age groups for the youngsters, literally doing body weight to obviously opens 18 and over for them to get in their position.
Let's get back into the game on field. And actually, before we get into what we can expect from Harlequins this season, I wanted to take a couple of questions from the fans on the Instagram and Twitter, etc. There are a few of them that I won't ask, but let's start with a nice, easy one. Charlotte Muller says, Stephan, what makes a good team?
What makes a good team? That's a tough question. Good players, I reckon. No, I think that's important. Good players makes a good team, obviously. But I think culture is massively important. I think if you look at all the teams around the world that's successful for long periods, not just a flash in the pan, it's the culture that drives them for a long time. So I really think culture and good people makes a good team.
Great question. Great answer. Okay. Hi, I'm Jan asks, or hi, I'm Jan. It could be. I can't see the picture. How difficult was it to feel the importance of each game when there were limited fans in the stands?
Yeah, it's tough, really. And I think you actually realize now, only when the fans are back, how much we miss them. In the beginning, it's quite dull. You run out there and it's like not even school, because at school you had fans, really. It was quite difficult in the beginning. We obviously got used to it because it is your job. You have to go out there and perform. And I think there was other positives from COVID and being in that bubble. We got to spend a lot more time together as a group. We grew closer as a group. So that's some of the positives, but it was really hard to go out there being motivated week after week without any fans.
Yeah, and I mean, we all know the Stoop. It's the moment that place is packed. You see it week in, week out. You guys play a home game with the fans back. It's one of the biggest roars around. And I know that it's as important to you as it is to them. I guess a couple of these sort of integrate your time with the Sharks. Let's go with Tide 5 Rugby. They say, what is the biggest difference between the Sharks and the Quins? So I guess Sharks and the Quins, and then I guess Super Rugby and the Premiership. Let's do the Sharks and the Quins first.
The weather. Durban, it's summer all year around here. It's raining, feels like every day. Yeah, it's a good question. I think my time at the Sharks, I was fortunate to play with some of the big names in South African rugby that I really enjoyed. So coming here on a personal experience back home, I looked up to a lot of those guys got to play with, Beast, Bismarck, Franz Steyn, JP Peterson, Willem Alberts, a lot of those guys. I was at school looking up to them. Next minute I was playing with them. So coming over here, I didn't know a lot about the players. Obviously, you know a few, the Marlers, Danny Kerr, all those, but I didn't know as much. And yeah, being too blunt, or I didn't like look up to them in the same way, you know.
Yeah.
So coming here was a lot more relaxed in a way. But I think from a Quins to Sharks mentality, yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities. Really, I think that's why I chose Quins. We both like the style of rugby. Both like to play ball in hand rugby. So I think that's a big thing. It's quite similar in that regard.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a lot of flamboyant, flashy, fast pace, but controlled in the same respect. Let's do one more from Instagram, and I can do a couple from Twitter. This is from Colin McCall 4, and they ask, how do you deal with the pressure of delivering top performances every game? I guess that question applies more now that you are current champions.
I think the thing is, rugby is a professional sport. I think a lot of effort goes into getting the boys up week in, week out. It's not just they don't thumb suck a lot of the stuff. I think there's a lot of data behind it, the way they manage people. That all adds up at the end of the day to keep people motivated, to keep them fit for longer. But I think it's also a massive internal thing to rock up every day at training with a smile, whether it's raining, snowing, or sunshine. I think just being grateful for having the opportunity to play rugby. If you're grateful, I think that goes a long way. Being grateful in any situation, I think, makes it easier to pitch up. Doesn't matter if it's rugby or not. I think being grateful for the opportunity and know your time's limited makes it easier to pitch up every day, every game.
Okay, this next one, a couple more from Twitter, and then I'll ask a couple, and then we can move on to what to expect from you for the rest of the season. So Brad K on Twitter asks, how is Tabai settled into the club? And does he feel that the club has enough depth within to cope with some of your missing internationals this autumn?
The last one, you should ask him. I'll answer for myself. No, he's done. I think he's been a massive asset for the club coming in. He's a great person. He's very good with people. The way he speaks with people, the way he gets the best out of him, I think he's a massive asset for Quins. And I think we'll see that, especially now, like with your next question, with the boys leaving, the England boys, him getting the best out of the rest of the squad, stepping into that space. I think he's settling quite nicely, and I think as the time goes on, you'll just see more and more of him as he grows as a coach and we as a team. And then, yes, I feel with you losing your international players, if you go any team around the world, you lose. Obviously, they're the best in the team and they're the best in their country. You're going to lose a bit. But I think we have quality players. We made some good signings in the off-season. So boys stepping into those positions has filled that position nicely, and I don't feel we've lost a lot of momentum at all, to be honest.
Stephan, what's the worst meal you've had in the UK? And I guess this is a two-part question. What's the worst meal you've had in the UK? And this is from Friends of the Stoop. They're a big Quins account on Twitter. I mean, they are one of the best, I think. And the second part of their question, and will, as it is tradition for the captain, be buying all the traveling supporters at European games a beer?
I'm gonna have to steal the Quins squad, but I'll happily buy them a beer with the Quins squad. Look, they're great support every year on the Euro games to travel with. I remember having a few beers with them after Ulster game, so it'll be good to have them with us again this season. The worst meal in the UK? Oh yeah, Christmas. What's that? The English people are gonna hate me for this. What's that mince pie on Christmas?
Yeah, it's mince pie. It's not actually made from mince. It took me about 20 years to figure that out.
Yeah, that and I'm not a massive is it called blood pudding fan?
Black pudding, yeah. So there you have
Black
it.
pudding, yeah.
Stephan Lewies doesn't like mince pies or black pudding. Some will agree on some and some will disagree, but I mean, that's your choice. And just a couple more from me, and then we can move on to expectations. So who's the biggest joker in the Harlequins team?
That's not a tough one to answer. Joe Marler obviously is always time for a joke, really. Yeah, it's class having him in the team or being in the same team as Joe, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, I can sort of add to that. I can just imagine. He's probably the first person there when you need him, and first in, last out sort of thing. And from what we know about Joe Marler, I guess I share that sentiment. He's probably one of the best people to share a beer with after a game for sure. I believe that's everything from me now. You guys again have started very well this season, sort of continuing from last season's successes. So I guess it's proven that with everything that's happened with COVID and all this other stuff that's been going on, you Oaks have really managed to set the bar high for yourselves. Obviously, the expectation is naturally there from all the people and all the other teams in the league, a new coach. But is it safe to say or fair to say that, you are keeping the same mentality, the same culture? You're not going to let things like internationals missing throughout the autumn series affect any of the games. You're currently 4-2 at the moment after, a fantastic end of the last season. I guess my question is, what can we expect from Quins this season? What do you expect from them as a person, as a captain, and as a mentor?
Yeah, I would like to say an improved Quinn side. I think one of our goals is to get better, not to stay the same. I think the league has really raised the bar this season. All the teams are better this season, so we're gonna have to be better if we want the same result this season. So for us, it's continuous improvement. We want to get better as the season goes on, and then stay true to our DNA. Do it the same way we did it last year. Make our fans proud that way by scoring a lot of tries and express ourselves on the rugby field.
So far this season, who has been I know it's only been like 6 or 7 games, but who's been the toughest to go up against?
Well, we haven't played Leicester, but as all the other teams, they've unbeaten at the moment. So the way they're playing the game, they're back to the old Leicester bullying people, very forward dominance side, and then they have unbelievable backs to go with it as well. A lot of experience. Saris is back, obviously, in the Prem. They showed what they can do, and then I think Northampton is a side that looks to be quite a difficult side this season as well to beat as well. So looking forward to that game. And then Sale is obviously always tough. Sale and Exeter, always tough games. So to answer your question, I think there's a lot of really good sides this year. There's no game you can just pitch up and expect to win. You're gonna have to work for every game this season.
Well put. You've got a great game coming up against Wasps, they're a tough one because they look like they're on form. They look like they're going to do something. You kind of want to, as a neutral, sort of back them against all the top teams. You managed to do so absolutely fine last season. Again, a lot of the Oaks are out of the team this week because of internationals. What's the message this week against Wasps?
No, exactly like I just said. We can't expect just because Wasp has a lot of injuries, a few internationals gone, that we'll go to Coventry and go away with a result. There's no easy results in this league, which why I think it's the greatest league in the world at the moment. But it's another tough one. They like to play ball in hand rugby, similar to us. So I think it'll always be a good game for the fans to watch. And I think there'll be a lot of tries, but hopefully at the end of the day, we can get the result.
Like you say, you can't take any team for granted. You need to sort of, I guess, go into the game expecting it to be like the final last year. You can't take advantage of anybody. Stick to the basics, keep sort of transcribing that culture that you're doing at Harlequins, whether it's on the field, off the pitch. You know, you guys do it with the marketing, the clothing, that the message is quite clear that you're trying to be one of the most successful, sustainable clubs, not just in English rugby, but in the world. So I guess from myself, as a South African, as you know, a Saffas abroad myself, from the rest of us in the rugby community and family, you know, first and foremost, thank you so much for being here. Genuinely, it's such an honor to have you. Good luck for the rest of the season. Yeah, I'm sure we'll keep in touch with everything else we've mentioned regarding the app. Big love to the family, friends. Stay safe, and you know, I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
Cheers, thank you, and thanks for keeping us updated. I think we all love you on Instagram. Keep going, and yeah, lots of love. Thanks.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Cheers.